Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really big look deep into Pakistan's strategic history,
That's right.
specifically how its military leaders have consistently, well, championed technology.
Yeah, we've been digging into the source material of this book, Pakistan's Generals in Military Technology, Radar to AI.
And what really jumps out is this institutional belief. It's baked in.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's not just, a few isolated decisions here and there.
Mm.
The book frames it as a generational strategy for national survival, really.
Right.
The core idea, the premise that drives almost everything in these sources is that technology isn't like an optional extra. It's absolutely fundamental.
Non-negotiable for security and, well, modern government.
Exactly. For the Pakistani military,
Yeah.
the sources make it crystal clear. Having that technological edge is seen as the only real guarantee of sovereignty.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit then. Our mission today is to trace this path, this huge evolution in strategy. Starting way back, mid-20th century, we'll follow how the focus shifts, right? From early conventional stuff, tanks and planes,
Radar.
radar, all the way through nuclear deterrence, then into the digital economy, and now right up to AI.
It's a fascinating map charting how a nation figures out what tools it needs to build its future.
And the sources use this great metaphor throughout.
We do. The idea that the military leadership saw technology as Pakistan's shield, for
Yeah.
defense, and also its spear for projecting influence, for growth, for societal progress.
That dual role,
Right.
protection and progress.
Yeah. And that, the book argues, is why this focus on high tech has been so incredibly persistent, even when politics shifted or the economy was tight.
That sets things up perfectly. A journey from radar to AI driven by this core belief. So let's start at the beginning. The foundations, building that conventional military edge. So this first period, covered in the source material, it's under Ayub Khan. And it's all about the basics, the conventional needs of a new state.
Pretty much. The strategic problem was obvious, wasn't it? You're a new country, potentially facing a much bigger neighbor.
Numerically superior, yeah.
So how do you secure yourself? And the answer, according to these sources, was technology, specifically modern Western tech adopted early and strategically.
And what's interesting, as you mentioned, is that it wasn't just buying whatever was available.
No, not at all. It was very targeted. The sources stress this. It was about quality over quantity, trying to get the maximum capability in really key areas, a sort of calculated bet on technology.
So what specific tech are we talking about here?
Well, the big ones highlighted are advanced American systems. Surveillance radars, absolutely crucial for early warning.
Seeing what's coming.
Exactly. Then you have the Patton tanks, which were, formidable armored power at the time.
A big step up.
Huge. And in the air, the F-86 Sabre jets, iconic aircraft, really represented a leap in air capability, required totally different pilot training too.
And communications gear as well, right?
Yeah.
Modern comm systems.
Yeah, that's key. Because it's not just about having the shiny new tank or jet, is it?
No, it's how you use it. The sources seem to imply that integrating these systems, tying them together with better communication, that was the real force multiplier.
That's precisely it. One Patton tank is one thing. But a brigade of Pattons, all networked, coordinating their moves through secure comms, that's exponentially stronger than just, scattered older tanks.
So the military grasped that early on. That the edge wasn't just the hardware, but the whole system, the integration, the training.
Absolutely.
Right.
Take the F-86 Sabres again. Great plane, sure. But their real value came from pilots trained rigorously, often using American methods, who knew how to exploit the jet's specific strengths, its maneuverability, its targeting systems. They could get more out of their equipment than their adversaries could at that time.
Okay, but let me push back slightly here, maybe playing devil's advocate for the listener. This heavy reliance on American tech, American training, American supply lines, didn't that create a pretty big vulnerability?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sure, it gave them an immediate edge, but wasn't there a huge risk? Dependency, the threat of sanctions cutting off spare parts.
That's the fundamental trade-off of this whole era. And, the sources don't shy away from that, though maybe implicitly by showing what happened next.
Right.
The immediate goal, the absolute priority then, was survival, getting that modern defense capability up and running as fast as possible.
So the short-term gain was paramount?
It was. The source explicitly mentions this, giving Pakistan a significant edge in 1965. That immediate strength was the focus.
But the experience of 1965 must have driven home the downside.
Absolutely. The long-term lesson, especially when supplies got interrupted, was stark. Relying completely on foreign powers for your core defense tech. That's a direct risk to your sovereignty. It was a powerful, painful lesson.
So the effectiveness in the short term was clear. That edge in 65 wasn't just psychological, it was real, based on better integrated systems.
Undeniably. And it taught the leadership a core lesson. Good conventional tech, adopted effectively, can be a massive equalizer, especially against larger forces.
So the key takeaway from the Ayub era.
It's that early, smart adoption of quality conventional technology gives you crucial strength, both physical and psychological. It cemented the military's view that you constantly need to acquire and upgrade technology.
But
But crucially, it also planted that seed, the idea that real, long-term security, that requires controlling your own technological destiny, indigenous capability.
which leads us directly into the next, far more ambitious phase.
Exactly. Once you hit the limits of relying on others for conventional weapons, the logical next step is to chase a technology that guarantees your autonomy, something ultimate. And that brings us squarely into the era of General Zia-ul-Haq. Here, the whole strategic game changes. It's not just about getting an edge in a conventional fight anymore.
No, this is about the ultimate guarantee. The sources frame it as acquiring the ultimate shield.
Precisely. The goal elevates dramatically. Secure national sovereignty itself through a technology that just completely rewrites the rules of the game in the region.
We're talking, of course, about the nuclear pivot.
Yes, a monumental undertaking. Probably the single most complex and strategically defining decision any state can make.
And the sources really emphasize General Zia's, well, absolute determination here. Pushing relentlessly for nuclear capability, it fundamentally changed Pakistan's global standing.
And to really grasp how deep that commitment went, you have to look at what the sources describe happening internally.
It wasn't just him giving orders.
No, far from it. It demanded this incredible fusion of effort. The book talks about this dynamic collaboration, this partnership between the scientists and the soldiers.
Right. The military providing the security, the resources, the unwavering political backing.
While the scientists tackled the insane technical challenges. Enrichment, weapon design, delivery systems, incredibly complex stuff.
And the context here is vital. They did this, as the sources point out, despite sanctions.
Yeah, that phrase is doing a lot of work.
It really is. Because sanctions aren't just, a diplomatic slap on the wrist. They're designed to cripple exactly this kind of program.
They attack your supply chains for critical components, they stop knowledge transfer, they block financing.
So achieving nuclear capability under that kind of pressure, it speaks volumes about the level of determination.
It implies incredible resourcefulness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Probably involved, let's say, unconventional procurement routes, intense secrecy, and a massive push for internal R&D.
It basically took that lesson learned from the Ayub era, don't rely on outsiders for critical tech, and turn it into a national obsession.
Exactly. If you couldn't always count on the West for spare parts for your F-86s, you certainly weren't getting nuclear tech handed to you.
No.
This became a declaration. Pakistan would define its own security on its own terms. Full stop.
So if the conventional weapons of the 60s were the shield against, say, a border incursion,
Then the nuclear capability was the shield against annihilation, against an existential threat.
it changes everything. So what was the immediate practical result once they achieved this?
Well, the strategic landscape just shifted instantly. Pakistan becoming a declared nuclear power meant mutual deterrence became the new reality in South Asia.
Mutually assured destruction,
And
essentially.
Pretty much. It provided the ultimate deterrent. No rational adversary could contemplate an all-out attack without risking catastrophic consequences.
And the source analysis links this directly back to that core goal, securing sovereignty.
Absolutely. By mastering this ultimate strategic technology, Pakistan ensured its survival. It became a state that couldn't be existentially threatened without unacceptable reciprocal risk. Its position was fundamentally altered.
That's the shield metaphor taken to its absolute extreme, isn't it? Moving beyond just defensive armor to this unbreachable strategic deterrent.
It guaranteed that any future conflict calculations, any military decisions, would always be viewed through a completely different, much higher stakes lens.
It proved, really, that technology at that strategic level is the ultimate guarantor of national existence.
It did. And once that ultimate defense, that nuclear shield, was firmly in place, it kind of freed up strategic thinking, didn't it? The immediate existential threat was, if not gone, then massively mitigated.
Which allowed the focus of technology to shift again.
Exactly. It opened the door for technology to take on that other role, the spear, to become a tool not just for survival, but for national development, economic growth, and social uplift.
Right. So now we move into the era under General Pervez Musharraf. And this marks a really significant change in direction, doesn't it?
It really does, with that nuclear deterrent sort of anchoring national security.
Providing that backstop.
Exactly. The role of technology could broaden out dramatically. It stops it being purely about military defense and starts becoming this engine for wider societal and economic progress. This is where the digital age really hits Pakistan.
And the sources describe it as a kind of technological explosion. What drove that? There must have been a realization that just having the bomb wasn't enough.
I think that's right. There was a growing understanding reflected in the policies that economic weakness could actually undermine the very sovereignty the nuclear program was designed to protect. You can be secure militarily, but still vulnerable economically.
So the strategic goal shifted towards modernizing the economy itself.
Precisely. And this led to very specific, very rapid government actions, especially, the sources highlight, in the telecommunications sector.
Okay, so what did they actually do? This kind of massive growth doesn't just happen by itself.
No, it needs a push. And the sources point to a combination of things. Significant deregulation in the telecom sector, proactively issuing new licenses to encourage competition, and crucially, enabling massive investment in infrastructure.
And the military leadership's role here was what? Providing stability?
Stability, security guarantees that made foreign companies feel safe investing, and ensuring the rapid rollout of infrastructure wasn't held up by, say, local disputes or red tape. They provided the framework for speed.
And the result was?
A huge surge in telecom density. Mobile phones went from being rare luxury items to everyday tools for millions.
Which then paved the way for?
Mass internet penetration. Suddenly, large swaths of the population had access. And critically, the sources really emphasize this, it fueled a boom in IT outsourcing.
Right. Pakistan became a major player in that global digital workforce almost overnight, it felt like.
It did. It was a dramatic shift.
Now, let's dig into this idea the sources mention. Dual-use technology. How did the military's needs actually drive this civilian tech boom? It feels like a jump from battlefield command systems to call centers.
Well, the connection is often infrastructure and, importantly, reliability. Think about what a modern military needs for command and control.
Secure communication, high bandwidth,
Right.
reliable links.
Exactly. Fiber optic backbones, robust satellite connections, secure data centers, things that absolutely cannot fail in a crisis. Now, once you build out that kind of high-spec, resilient infrastructure for defense purposes, there's often spare capacity. And the high standards demanded by the military, the security, the uptime, become the bedrock for civilian applications.
Ah, I see. So the secure network designed for coordinating troops.
Also happens to be the perfect pipeline for high-speed internet access, for running e-commerce platforms, for secure online banking, and yes, for handling international IT outsourcing contracts that demand reliability.
So the technology serves both masters, so to speak. It gives the military the connectivity it needs.
Right, for its distributed command, its intelligence sharing, whatever.
And it simultaneously lowers the barrier for ordinary citizens and businesses to get online, find work, trade globally.
That's the dual-use concept in action. The military's requirements inadvertently, or perhaps deliberately, created the foundation for widespread economic benefit.
And the impact was significant.
Immediate and profound, according to the analysis. Technology literally became the engine of growth for the economy. It created whole new industries, new professional jobs, new ways of doing business that just hadn't existed before.
It was a clear recognition that in the 21st century, economic strength and national security are, well, two sides of the same coin.
You can't really separate them anymore.
So if you're listening to this, the key lesson from this Musharraf period seems to be how digital technology is fundamentally different.
How so?
Well, unlike a tank or even a nuclear weapon, which is pretty much just a state asset,
Right, controlled by the military or government.
digital infrastructure, like a nationwide fiber network, empowers everyone. It helps the state with its command and control, yes, but it also fuels GDP growth, education, individual opportunity. It lifts the whole boat.
That's a critical distinction, and this era, the Musharraf era, really represents the successful wielding of that spear aspect of the technology metaphor.
Moving beyond just defense.
Yeah, the military's role expanded into actively fostering national prosperity, recognizing that a connected, digitally skilled population is actually essential for a modern, strong, sovereign nation.
And in doing so, it kind of laid the groundwork, built the national digital architecture for the next big challenge.
Which is dealing with a world where the threats themselves are becoming increasingly digital. The ubiquitous battlefield.
Which brings us right up to the present day, the current strategic environment under Field Marshal Syed Asim Munir. And here, the sources suggest another major shift, maybe even a fusion.
Yeah, a fusion of defense and the economy, all underpinned by advanced computing. We're really stepping fully into that 21st century reality where the lines are blurred.
The battlefield isn't just a physical place anymore.
Not at all. And the focus moves beyond just deploying infrastructure, like in the Musharraf era, towards embedding advanced intelligence into everything. Cognitive capabilities.
So the key word for this current leadership.
Artificial intelligence. AI, emphatically. The sources portray AI not as some niche military gadget, but as a fundamental cross-cutting capability.
Something that will impact everything.
Everything. Military effectiveness, intelligence analysis, economic productivity, even managing national resources. It's seen as transformative across the board.
And the list of specific technologies being integrated now is pretty broad, isn't it? The sources mention drones, cyber warfare, obviously.
Expected ones, yeah.
But also things like blockchain technology and even smart agriculture. It shows this isn't just about the army anymore. It's a national tech strategy.
Let's maybe unpack a couple of those less obvious ones because they really show the breadth of thinking here.
Okay.
Drones and cyber are fairly straightforward evolutions of military power into new domains, right? Unmanned systems, digital attacks. But blockchain, smart agriculture, how do they fit into defense and sovereignty?
Good question. Blockchain sounds like crypto bros in finance, not national security. How does that connect?
Well, think about what blockchain fundamentally offers. Trust and security through decentralization. It creates immutable records without relying on a single central authority that could be hacked or compromised.
Okay, so for a state.
For a state worried about digital sovereignty in a vulnerable world, that's huge. It could mean securing critical national data land titles, citizen records, maybe even election results.
Financial systems, supply chains.
Exactly. Securing logistics, ensuring the integrity of transactions, protecting against foreign digital manipulation, or even internal corruption. By embracing something like blockchain, the thinking goes, you're hardening your core national data infrastructure against attack. That's fundamental digital defense.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about securing the digital territory. What about smart agriculture then? Why is the military leadership concerned with, crop yields?
Because national security isn't just about borders and tanks anymore. It's about resilience. Food security is national security.
Right, a nation that can't feed itself.
Is inherently vulnerable to external pressure, to internal instability. Smart agriculture using AI, sensors, data analytics helps optimize food production, make it more resilient to climate change, reduce waste.
So it bolsters the absolute foundation of the economy and society.
Precisely. It reduces dependency on food imports, strengthens the rural economy, helps prevent unrest, all of which are vital components of a comprehensive national security strategy in the 21st century.
This really broadens the definition of defense, doesn't it? The sources are clear. It's not just about protecting physical borders anymore.
No, the analysis emphasizes the shift. Now you have to protect the nation's data, networks, and digital sovereignty. That's the new frontier.
That's the key transformation, isn't it? The nuclear shield protects the physical state.
But you need AI, cyber defenses, secure data systems like blockchain to protect the digital state. Because if your enemies can't break down your door, they'll try to hack your bank, steal your intellectual property, or flood your networks with disinformation.
So the conclusion the sources draw is
the modern battlefield is everywhere. It's physical, it's digital, it's economic, it's informational.
And technology isn't just a weapon on that battlefield anymore.
No. In many ways, technology is the battlefield. It's the environment itself. AI, drones, cyber tools.
Yeah.
They're not just for fighting, they're for functioning. They're essential for proactive defense, yes, but also for driving the digital modernization needed to just stay relevant and competitive globally.
Wow. When you lay it out like that across these four distinct eras, it's quite a journey, a continuous, evolving technological strategy.
Always adapting to meet the main threat or seize the main opportunity of the time.
Yeah, let's quickly recap those focuses just to nail down that trajectory for everyone listening.
Okay.
Under Ayub Khan, it was all about conventional military power, wasn't it?
Right. Radar, tanks, jets, getting that immediate tactical strength.
Then under Zia-ul-Haq, the huge leap. The nuclear program. Ultimate deterrence. Solving the existential threat problem.
Securing the nation's survival, fundamentally.
Then Musharraf's era shifts again. Telecom and IT boom. Focus on societal connectivity, using tech as that economic engine.
Building national prosperity and resilience from within.
And now, under Munir, it's about digital sovereignty, AI, drones, cyber, blockchain, securing the nation's ability to function and thrive in this totally interconnected, often hostile, digital world.
You see the pattern, right? The tools change dramatically from, physical hardware like tanks.
To intangible code and algorithms.
Exactly. Steel and fuel replaced by silicon and data. But the underlying goal, the driving force behind it all,
Stays the same.
absolutely constant, according to these sources. The mission, spanning all these decades, all these leaders, was consistently to keep Pakistan strong, modern, and sovereign.
Technology is the means to that end.
Always. Autonomy is the objective.
Now, this leads to a really interesting concept. The book introduces this idea of the invisible general.
Ah, yes. That's a powerful metaphor.
What does it mean in this context?
It suggests that technology itself has acted like a constant guiding force within the Pakistani military establishment, an invisible general that consistently demands modernization, adaptation, and staying ahead of the curve.
So it's not just about individual leaders having pet projects.
No, the idea is that the need for technological superiority became embedded deep within the institution's culture, its strategic DNA. It transcends individual personalities or political shifts.
And the effect of that.
It ensures the country never stood still, as the source puts it. It forces a continuous process of evaluation and upgrading.
Can you give an example of how this invisible general might work in practice? How does it make decision-making different than in, say, a country where tech is seen more as a nice-to-have?
Well, it forces tough choices. It means that in every budget discussion, every strategic review, every foreign policy negotiation, there's this underlying question. How did this impact our technological position? Does it strengthen us or weaken us relative to others?
Technology becomes a primary filter for decisions.
It moves from being a preference to being a core requirement, a mandate. Think about that shift we discussed, from relying on U.S. conventional arms under Ayub.
To pursuing the independent nuclear option under Zia.
That shift happened because the institution's memory, guided by this invisible general, recognized the vulnerability of dependency. It demanded a move towards strategic autonomy when the external props proved unreliable. This general doesn't let the institution rest on its laurels.
It creates this constant pressure to adapt, to adopt, to innovate.
Yes, to always be leveraging the best available tool for the job, whether that's a physical radar dish from the 1960s or a sophisticated AI algorithm today, all in the service of maintaining national strength and relevance.
It's essentially a commitment to staying in the race. A high-stakes, never-ending technological competition.
That's a good way to put it. It reflects a long-term perspective, prioritizing building capabilities and continuous investment. It's a recognition that, certainly in the 21st century, your power and influence are increasingly defined by your technological mastery. The sources aren't just chronicling military hardware, they're outlining a national strategy for perpetual modernization. Hashtag outro.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive. We've covered decades, huge technological shifts, from the nuts and bolts of early radar
to the complexities of AI and cyber warfare today.
And we've seen this recurring theme, how defense needs drove deterrence strategies, which then enabled economic modernization, which now demands digital security. It's all linked.
It really paints a picture of strategic necessity as the mother of invention, doesn't it? Driving national policy, demanding huge efforts in science, technology, resource mobilization, often against considerable international headwinds.
That commitment to mastering difficult, complex fields seems to be the thread running through this whole story.
It's the defining feature, really.
Now, as we wrap up, the source material ends with a very bold statement, almost a challenge.
Ah, yes. The final line.
Building on this entire narrative of technological achievement, it declares, Pakistan Zindabad, the next world superpower.
It's a striking claim, full of confidence, and it's clearly predicated on this historical trajectory we've just discussed, this deep institutional continuous drive to harness strategic technology.
It kind of forces you to extrapolate, doesn't it? To look at the trend line rather than just the current snapshot.
Exactly. To consider the potential long-term impact of such sustained investment and focus.
So we'll leave you, the listener, with this final thought to chew on. Based on this long history, this chronicled commitment to strategic technology across such different eras, from getting basic radar working in the 50s to this relentless push for AI and digital sovereignty, now how might this decades-long defense-driven investment shape Pakistan's actual prospects? Could it realistically achieve something like next world superpower status in this digital age?
Does that kind of institutional persistence, that unwavering technological focus, ultimately guarantee that kind of success on the world stage?
Or are there other factors just as, or even more important?
It's definitely a trajectory worth pondering. And it certainly shows how a nation's long-term focus on technology, driven by what it sees as strategic necessity, can be a powerful indicator of its future ambitions and potential influence.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.